Federal funding has been frozen almost entirely across the board. Social Security and Medicare has been protected as of now. Don't bank on it in the future. If you are poor, this is going to have catastrophic consequences for you. We could talk about the downstream economic impacts that this is going to have on the economy at large, the confusion that this has already caused because the memo was so poorly written. We could talk about how this is a grotesque overreach of the executive branch. It doesn't know how to stay in its own lane. The executive branch does not have the authority to dictate how money is spent. That is Congress. That is the checks and balance of our Constitution. We have three co-equal branches of government. The executive doesn't get to make this kind of determination. But it's going to insist that it can anyway. So instead of talking about that, I want to talk about the real impact that this has on everyday people. The real downstream consequences of it, and how members of Congress perceive you. You, the individual watching this video, you likely, if you have a kid, probably relies on the free food at school. Or you know somebody whose kid does rely on free food at school. So what did Rich McCormick, representative from Georgia, have to say about this? Of rescinding free lunches for kids. Before I was even 13 years old, I was picking berries in the field. Before child labor laws that precluded that. I was a paper boy, and when I was in high school, I worked my entire way through. You're telling me that kids who stay at home instead of going to work at Burger King, McDonald's during the summer should stay at home and get their free lunch instead of going to work? I think we need to have a top-down review. He continued saying, I mean, how many people get their start in fast food restaurants when they were kids, versus just giving a blanket rule that gives all kids lunches in high school, who are capable of going out and actually getting a job and doing something that makes them have value? Thinking about their future instead of thinking about how they're going to sponge out the government when they don't need to. He's talking about children. He's talking about children that rely on government assistance for food. And he speaks about your children like this. He said back in December, we're going to have some hard decisions. We got to bring the Democrats in to talk about Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. There's hundreds of billions of dollars to be saved, and we know how to do it. We just have to have the stomach to actually take those challenges on. I submit a challenge for Rich McCormick. Get back in the field and start picking berries.